to own it. Just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here. Oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you.
Hi, Teresa. So good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm a big fan. I really am.
Thank you.
And I've always been a fan of you specifically.
Thank you.
Okay, so is this your first time in Fresno?
No, actually, I've been here. I was at Chuck Chansey Resort and Casino today.
Right.
And they said I was here in 2019.
Oh, okay, right before COVID.
Yes, right before COVID. So they said I was there. And I also came in and out. I was on a podcast in Fresno, California.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I don't even remember because I go to so many places.
I would imagine.
That
oh my God.
I thought I was never here, but I knew I did a podcast here, but I didn't know I was at that casino. So I've been here before. So this is my third time here.
Well,
Yeah.
welcome back. Now
Yeah.
this is the time you're going to remember.
Yes, yeah. And Louie's good friend is from here, so.
I love that.
Yeah.
You guys are so awesome. And I love that you're down to earth. You guys are here having a good time. Are you ever going to do a fitness competition again?
I don't know if I'm going to do it. Yeah, I don't know
That's
if I'm
brutal,
gonna-
isn't it?
It was. I'm so happy I got to do it. It was something that I was on my bucket list, and I got third place. So I was happy with that.
Oh, you look incredible, but I was like, it's a lot of work, huh?
It is. I mean, I didn't care about the work, but I mean, I did it once, so I'm good, you know. So yeah, but I work out all the time.
Oh,
I
it
love
shows.
working out. Yeah, so do you. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a bizarre question,
Yeah.
but you're so awesome. You have so many different experiences. You have the business experience. You have different experiences a lot of people don't have on the good side, on the bad, like every side of like people and humanity. Have you ever thought about running for politics, like being a city councilwoman or a mayor or something? I could just see you kind of being in politics.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Have you ever thought about it?
So maybe from your mouth to God's ears. I don't know. So you never say never. You never know what the future holds.
Have you thought about it, or
Not really.
no one's ever told you that?
No one's ever told me that. Yeah, no.
And you did so good on Celebrity Apprentice. I was
I
just kind
know,
of thought I could see you having that like authority, and your friends with I think Donald will back you up, right?
Yeah, yeah. So like you never know. But
Right.
yeah, it's not.
What does the future hold for you right now?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of I'm working on a show coming up, but I can't say what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So doing that, and like I'm doing, a lot of other things that
Okay.
exciting things. So
Cookbooks or anything?
I want to do another cookbook. I want to do another memoir. Yeah, because like
It's like phase 2 of your life. You got to do
yes,
a memoir.
exactly.
Like
Because
that's
it's right now. It's 15-year anniversary from when my first cookbook came out.
no way.
Yeah, so I want to do another cookbook, and I want to do like my third memoir because I never continued it from like when I met Louie.
Right.
So,
it's like
yeah.
phase 2 of your
Yeah.
life. So you gotta do. Isn't it weird? Because I remember when your youngest daughter was born on that. Like I said, I've been a fan.
Yeah, she's like,
Isn't that crazy
Adriana
to think
was
about that?
born season 2.
And
yeah.
that like how so much time has passed. But
Yeah,
It's
I've been on TV. I calculated, I think 18 years from when I started filming, from the first day.
like, so what's she up to now? Your youngest daughter? Is she gonna go to college?
She's a sophomore.
Oh,
She's a sophomore, so I got 2 more years before she goes to college.
that's the last one in the house.
Yep, last one in the house. Yeah.
That is so awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for giving us some Fresno love. And we all got to follow you to see what your next move is.
Yes, yeah. Follow me on Instagram, on TikTok, Teresa Giudice. I'm on Instagram, TikTok. What else? What else is there?
Facebook?
Well, yeah, but Facebook.
I'm dating myself right
but
now.
I'm on YouTube cooking channel. Yeah.
Let's subscribe to the YouTube cooking channel. I want to watch that.
Cook with love.
Oh my gosh, I love
Yeah,
that.
so I want to come out with my own food line. There's like a lot of things that I'm working on.
I can't wait.
Yeah, because I had a food line like way back, and then so
what was the food line that you
I
had?
had pasta. I don't know. It was on the show. Remember?
Yeah. Oh, I
Like,
remember
in
you
the
did something. It was
beginning,
like where everybody could buy it.
I had sauce, pasta.
Gosh, we need that. I wouldn't get your sauce.
Yeah, I had so much. So I know. So now I want to bring that all back.
Are you gonna make like carb sensitives and do the whole fitness stuff, or is it gonna be
No,
fun?
no. It's
Oh,
gonna
thank
be,
God.
Yeah, yes.
I like that, but yeah. Thank you so much for talking with us today. Let's go have some fun.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for coming out. Yeah. Love, love, love.
here with Elizabeth Smart. Thank you so much for meeting with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I just want to say you're in my top 20 people I want to interview in the world. I think you are awesome. I know people see you as a victim turned survivor, but I'm really impressed with your interview skills and you as a journalist and how you've interviewed other victim turned survivor. I would love to see you on a show like 60 Minutes being an anchor. Have you ever considered it?
No.
That's just part of the advocacy. It's just a side
But I
thing.
mean, like, who knows what direction life turns, and I feel like you can never make plans because as soon as you do, the exact opposite changes. So never say never, but no, that was not on my horizon.
But I really look up to you, the way that you have empathy and the way that you talk to people. It's something I channel. I mean, you're really like my favorite interviewer ever. I think you do such a great job and you would do so great interviewing world leaders. So I hope I see that in the future.
Well, thank you. I'm so flattered.
What was that transition like? You became victim survivor and now you're out sharing other people's story. What was the transition like into that?
I feel like it was like wading into a pool, like through the shallow end, because it just, like, one thing just kind of led into another. So initially, had you asked me, do you ever think you'll go out and share other people's stories? I would have immediately said, well, no, not a chance. But then as time's gone on, and I have met so many other survivors that do want to share their story, and there is so much value in sharing stories. I mean, I feel like for so many, that's how we create emotional connection. That's how we learn. That's how understanding and just compassion really sink in. I mean, if you see someone looking you in the face and talking about the worst moments of their life, it's hard not to feel a connection to them. It's hard not to feel like we need to do something about this. This is wrong. This is not okay. And so sharing stories, I think, is so important. And there are so many brave and courageous victims out there who want to share their story because they don't want what happened to them to happen to anyone else. And there are so many of these cases where they didn't have to happen. We could have prevented them from happening.
What story really did you identify with the most and you heard that you're like, wow, that is almost like a mirror of what I went through?
Honestly, to some level, I think I feel that with every story I share because everyone kind of has like their different area of that they feel, I don't know, a little bit more, maybe more drawn to than the rest, or that they want to clarify a little bit more. And as I listen to other survivors sharing their stories, so often I'm like, I know exactly how that feels. Like, I understand that completely. You're absolutely right. Like, I didn't think to focus on that part, but now that you're spelling it out for me right in front of me, like, I understand that.
When did you first hear about breaking the chains?
I was contacted, it's been a little while now, but I admire anyone who works in this space, who voluntarily gives of their time and their energy and frankly their emotional bandwidth to be in this space, because it is a very, very difficult space to be in. I mean, you hear horrific stories. There is so much, emotional baggage that it's almost impossible to leave at work and not take home at the end of the day. So I just have limitless respect for anyone who voluntarily chooses to work in this field.
You know, with your story, it's unique because you were a victim of the truest form. You're just sleeping in your bed, get abducted. With a lot of victims nowadays, we have made poor decisions that put us in a bad place. And you treat everybody with the same amount of empathy. But we are human at the end of the day. How do you switch on that where it's like, where you're not judgmental, you're not like, oh, wow, you shouldn't have done that in your head, and you look at them as a victim?
I just think, addressing immediately what you said, every victim is a victim. Every victim is 100% a victim. And it's always easy to look back and maybe criticize how they got to where they were, or how we perceive them as opening themselves up for this kind of crime or trauma to happen. But actually, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I think I'd like to be kidnapped today, or I think
Right.
I'd like to be raped today. Nobody does that, and nobody deserves that. And it is wrong for anyone to look at a victim and be like, well, I would never dress like that. I would never go there. I would never do this. Because truly, the one person responsible that 100% of the blame lies with is the perpetrator. It is never the victim. You could be running down the street naked and you are still a victim.
I love that. That's great. And then how much has your faith helped you with everything that you've done?
I think that my faith is just always, for however alone I've felt, it's always been a source of comfort in simply believing that I'm not truly alone, that there is someone else out there who knows where I'm at and understands what I'm going through.
What would you like to see in the future? What are some plans that you would like to see for yourself?
For myself, make it to the end of the school year. That would be great. Finish my laundry. That would be great.
Well, you travel around doing a lot of advocacy work. Is there something where you're like, you know what, I think I want to tackle this, or I want to tackle that? This might be something I see myself going.
I would love to see a shift. There's a lot I would love to see happen. There's a lot culturally I'd love to see happen. I'd love to see communities really stand together and support survivors when they decide to disclose, instead of turning around and questioning them. Be like, well, why didn't you say something before? Well, why did you do this? And why did you do that? Instead of, don't ever go down. Don't ever start with those questions. Those are terrible questions. That makes the victim hear, you should have done this, you should have done that.
And you
didn't
received
do enough.
some of that yourself, some of that flack.
It's mostly been like the very rare exception that's happened to me. Most people, they've never doubted whether or not I was kidnapped. When I get those kinds of questions, it's more like specifics about during my captivity, like
about why you didn't escape. I've heard
exactly that kind of thing. Yes. So I would like to see a social shift, a cultural shift in that space where we're not questioning the survivors. We're letting the professionals do their job. That's a job for forensic interviewers who have become trauma informed. They have special training that they can ask questions in the most sensitive way and compassionate way possible. That's not just the everyday person's responsibility. We are not their judge. We should just respond with compassion and understanding and support. I would love to see a shift in I want to say justice system, but truly it's not a justice system, it's a legal system, because no matter what happens, you never get back what was taken from you. That is never made up to you. And unfortunately, it's really like 1 in 1,000 perpetrators actually spends a day in prison. 1 out of 1,000. I mean,
that's terrible.
That's not a justice system. That's a legal system that they're like successfully prosecuted. I mean, it's horrific. I would like the courts to be a little bit more victim friendly, instead of the victim being put on display or their whole life being put on display and having a jury judging them as to whether or not they're believable. I would like it to see just a bit more of a victim friendly, that doesn't sound quite right either, but a victim centered system. I mean, I know this won't happen, but in my mind I'm like, when it comes to sexual crimes, trafficking, sexual violence, rape, domestic abuse, I would like to see the perpetrators found guilty until proven innocent.
I think that's a good idea.
I don't think it's going to happen, but I'd like to see that happen.
What do you think about this? Happened over 20 years ago for you. I mean, do you think that we are going in the right direction? I'm sure you keep up a little bit with like California politics, and it's appalling about what's been going on this week, that it's taken so long with human trafficking laws and all that. I mean, it's so slow rolling. How do you feel about that? Where's the progress, and how do you feel about it?
I think there's progress in that we're actually talking about it, because I mean, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, was this even a conversation? I mean, I guess I can't say because I'm not 40 years old, but as far as I can tell, no. So I think there is progress in that we are talking about it. People are more aware of it now than probably ever before. I think we still have a very long ways to go, though. I think there's still a lot of conversation to be had. I think we need to really focus on education. This should be prevention education, should be...
Should learn this in school.
Exactly, that's exactly where I was going. I mean, we're taught about stranger danger, and yeah, we turn around and we have Halloween, which is basically a holiday celebrating taking candy from strangers, which I'm not anti-Halloween. I'm just...
I wasn't allowed to go trick-or-treating or any of that growing up.
I'm just saying, like, we're taught so many things, but why aren't we taught this? I mean, like I've said this before, I'm sure I'll say it 1,000 more times, but everybody knows what to do if you catch on fire: stop, drop, and roll.
Right.
Again, I don't know the exact statistics on how many people actually use that, but when I speak, and if I've ever asked a crowd of a couple hundred people, I maybe only get 1 or 2 hands that are raised. And yet statistically, I know that at least 1 in 5 women nationally are sexually abused. I don't know the statistics specific to California. I probably should look that up. That'd probably be even more compelling. I mean, I know the statistic for Utah, where I'm from, is 1 in 3. How can 1 in 3 women be sexually abused? How can that not be addressed? And yet, 1 in a few hundred people uses stop, drop, and roll. Like again, I'm pro. All safety education is good education. I'm not saying that shouldn't be taught, but like, why are we not addressing this when this is such a prevalent problem?
What can the rest of us, just a normal, regular person watching this that you speak to, what can us regular people do to make some noise and make stuff happen? How can we make changes happen? How can the average, everyday person make a change happen?
First of all, start in your own home, start in your own family, talk to your children, educate yourself and spread that education with them. And don't think one conversation is enough. This should be a ongoing, common conversation that I know people are scared to have it with their kids, because sometimes I'm scared to have it with my kids because I'm like, oh, are they old enough? Are they old enough? But
you weren't really old enough when that happened. I mean,
but there is a way to have age-appropriate conversations and allow those conversations to grow as your child grows, and then spread it to your friend groups, to your communities. When schools have the opportunity to have shelters come in or advocacy groups come in and talk about these issues, support the school in that. And if your school doesn't, suggest to them that they should do more than suggest. Demand that this education should be taught in schools, because unfortunately it is so prevalent. And when you look at, for instance, populations such as the Native and Indigenous population, I mean, that's not even 1 in 3. That's going to be basically all of them. And it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So, I mean, we really, all of us need to step up on the prevention, on communication, and keeping an eye out, being watchful, know what the signs are of abuse, know what the signs are of trafficking, and then not being scared to pick up your phone and call 911 when you think you see something. Who cares if you're wrong?
Right.
Like, if you're wrong, that's like the best case scenario.
Right.
Like, you don't want to be right in this situation, but at least you acted.
So that's interesting. So you say we should work on the schools instead of like saying, write your local lobby maker. You think if we work on the schools, maybe then that can make the noise?
I think it's going to be everywhere. This should be being made noise,
but
everywhere. Write your
but
representation.
Schools are a good way. I like that.
Write your schools.
First,
I mean, it's such a huge problem and such a huge topic, and we see cases of it everywhere. This is a topic that really needs to be approached from all sides, from the top down, from the bottom up, from side to side. It needs to be addressed from all angles.
I agree. And lastly, one of your perpetrators was rearrested.
I'm actually not going to talk about that today.
Okay. I was just like, well, I'm happy that happened. That never should have gotten out. What do you think when you see all the justice system is terrible and these people are getting out, which is just staggering, or not even being locked up in the first place? I mean, what needs to be, you said guilty first, but once they are convicted, I mean, they should never be let out. Like, how do we make that happen?
That's a great question. I'm still looking for the answer for that myself. When I find it, or if you find it, please let me know.
Right. Thank you so much for speaking with me today. You're definitely amazing, and I love watching everything that you do. And we appreciate that you take so much time of your busy life to come and do these things and educate us and help us.
Thank you.
It's great to be here this morning. That was such a great story that you told.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, this is really cool to see this many people all coming together for the same thing, wanting to pray, wanting to uplift their community, and so I was honored to be able to come share some of our story.
So I know you touch millions of people around the world. What I'm really curious about is on your set. I've been acting on and off for years, and I remember my first set on Walk Hard, you had thousands of extras, and all the talk was about, oh, I go to the Church of Scientology. I do this, I do that. And I was like, wow, is that what acting is? And now we have a reversal of experience on your set. What have you heard of so many people that just thought, hey, I got a job, I got cast, and then while they were on your set, you started to see a change in them? Can you tell us a story about that?
Well, we've had, I would say every time that we've ever done a scene where someone is actually quoting scripture, or Jesus is calling them to follow him or calling them to be healed or whatever it is that's from scripture, there's always a significant, profound emotional impact that they will even say, like, I don't know what happened. I just couldn't stop crying. Or, boy, I felt something during that scene. And I think that there's something to that when we're doing something that bringing God's word to the world, even those actors who aren't believers are being called to do that. And so they might not always know the reason, but when that happens, something stirs inside you, and we've seen that happen many times.
When you said you were almost going to give up before The Chosen became what it was, what was part of that decision to almost give up?
Well, the project that I'd done had been such a failure. There was no one was lining up around the block wanting to do a project with me anytime soon. And so you start to go, all right, well, if I've failed now and there aren't any open opportunities, then maybe this is not for me. Maybe I've been called to something else. Maybe I was wrong in the first place. So in that moment when I was genuinely willing to give it all up and was okay with that as long as I was in God's will, I think that's when God said, okay, now you're ready for The Chosen.
Did you ever think of switching gears and just doing more secular projects?
I mean, that's how I started. I started thinking, I just want to do mainstream projects, and then God, about 10 years ago, even before The Chosen came around, really called me to not be afraid of that and to tell stories of God's people and to tell stories of faith. There wasn't a whole lot of that going around. And so I think for me it was more about, well, since I've done that, I've had varying degrees of success, but right now I'm at the rock bottom. Maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this anymore, and I'm going to shift gears to another career.
Well, thank you so much for keeping going and bringing us such a great project. It was really good to meet you.
Thank you. So nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for coming to the Central Valley today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh my gosh, tell our viewers a little bit about your experience as an actress.
Overall, or with this film?
Overall, I want to know what kind of brought you to here before.
So I've always been acting in like theater stuff growing up. I always loved.
Where'd you grow up?
Kind of all over the place, but mostly Oklahoma, small town in Oklahoma. I was a shy child.
That is so cool.
And theater was like my safe place, and it was a really I felt like I could really be myself and express different sides of myself through acting. And it was always just a hobby for a really long time. And then I went to school for it. I got my master's in theater. And then I moved to Austin and started doing mostly commercial work. And then I started directing some short films and everything. I wasn't really thrilled ever about the types of roles I was getting for auditions.
Why is that?
They were one-dimensional. They were girlfriends, or they were... it was about the way they looked instead of their experience.
Right.
And so I was frustrated. So when I started directing, it was stories from the female perspective. And so I was really focused on that, and I was trying to quit acting, and then I booked The Chosen, which has just changed everything.
No way,
yes.
Right when you were about to quit.
Yes.
That is impressive. Okay.
It was crazy. And so it was finally, when I read the script, I'm like, this role I love. It was so multidimensional and complicated and interesting. And so I've been doing that for the last, 6-7 years. It started off as such a humble project, and it's grown and grown, and has kept me busy. But the last few years, I've been able to do some other projects in between seasons, and this is one of them. So Isaac Norris came up to me after a screening of The Shift, and he said he had a script about a real story about an Armenian family. And I was like, say no more. I'm part Armenian, and I've been wanting to help tell Armenian stories for a really long time. And so I fell in love with the characters and the story. And then we got to shoot it this past March, and so they've done such a fast turnaround, but we filmed it in Romania, and it was just a blast. And the actual Petrosians are just the most wonderful people.
Did you had you ever been there before when you filmed it in Romania? Did you ever be around the surrounding areas, or had you ever gone back to Armenia? So that was like a culture shock.
Yeah, it was, and we were there for about 5 weeks, and the Romanian people and the actors and crew, they were all so fantastic. We had a wonderful time there.
And what was it like kind of being transformed in that world? Because you're like me, you grew up here, but we both have Armenian roots. So did you feel more connected than ever when you were actually there?
There was just something about the writing of this character, and then like watching the home movie clips of them when they were like in the 80s and 90s, and I just saw so much of my grandmother and great-grandmother in this character. I grew up hearing my grandmother and great-grandmother speak Armenian to each other, and I just always knew there was a sense of pride in being Armenian. And then as I got older, I found out the plight of Armenian people and why that pride is there. And so as an actress, as I've gotten older, I've just like anytime I get a chance to help tell these stories, I'm so eager to do it.
What has your family said about the movie so far?
So not all of them have seen it yet. My brother and sister-in-law have seen it, and then my mom's seen some clips. And I'm really excited for them to get to see the whole thing. They all just cry.
And so the real Petrosians, you've gotten to interact with them a lot.
Yeah.
And what are they like?
Amazing. They're just so full of love and kindness. And I got to meet them while we were filming. And there was one scene in particular where I was telling a story on the stand in the jury, or during the trial, and the real Violetta was sitting in the audience, and so I was like telling her story back to her and seeing her reaction, which just was a nice emotional loop. But it was really special for them to be there while we were making it.
That is so impressive. And
really
then
sweet.
You're the wife of a rocket scientist. That's what you play. So that's in education. So what did you do to go through transform into this role?
A lot of it was the accent, the dialect, because they were born and raised in Azerbaijan. There was sort of a Russian type accent. And emotionally, I was kind of pulling from some personality traits from my grandmother and great grandmother. This strength that they have and this warmth, but they know when to sort of put their emotions aside and take care of business and make sure that everyone's safe. So, I pulled a little bit from my own family, and
my last question is, this movie's so powerful, so beautiful. Thank you so much for acting, and you do so great. What went through your mind in character when you said that line that you're lower than grass?
Oh yeah, that was a rough scene. When I first read that scene just in the script, it broke my heart. And then when we were filming it, I was lucky because the actress who plays the principal is a sweetheart. She's so nice. So in between takes, she was like extra nice to me. But yeah, it's one of those things that it's such a demeaning request from her, and my character knows that she can't get this job unless she does this. And so for the first few times that she says it, she just says it without believing it. And then I think she gets to a point where it really hurts her, where she might believe it for a moment. Yeah.
So you know a little bit about Armenian. Did you learn any more when you filmed this?
Yeah, so I didn't really know much as I was growing up. So all I knew was the food was great, and I wish that I could speak Armenian, so I knew what my
we need the bad words,
grandmother
right?
would say.
That's what they teach us.
And then as I got older, I have an Armenian friend, and she kind of taught me what the Armenian people have gone through in so many different chapters over the course of history. Since it hasn't really been publicly acknowledged until very, very recently. I don't think many people know what Armenian people have gone through. So I hope that this is a film that can bring some light to it.
And did you know a lot about this war? I mean, we've had a lot of wars. I knew a lot about the genocide. This was like a time in history I didn't really know much about. Yeah. And this part of it. So what did you learn through this, learning this little part of history? Did you know about it?
I didn't know. Yeah. So while we were doing it and reading up about it and just what the film shows too, it's such a shift. It's such a quick change where this family was hoping that the Soviet Union would protect them because they said they would. And then there's these Armenian neighborhoods and communities that just got overnight brutalized and attacked. And they were so smart to like quickly get out. And it was in the actual story and in the film, like they have to go overnight. They just have to leave. So they go to Volgograd and they are technically protected there, so the government allowed them to stay there, but they still faced threats and bullying and harassment, and so the whole idea of what home means and looking for home and then they find it through their faith is I think a unique take on this story.
Are you going to travel anywhere over there to promote this movie?
Nothing is announced yet or nothing is planned as far as I know, so not that I know of, but I would love to. I would really love to.
And so I assume you're going to do more Armenian projects in the future if you
I
can.
would love to. I really, really would. I'm, always open to read scripts and everything and keep helping tell this story.
Since you directed a little bit yourself, have you thought about writing and directing one?
I have. I actually am in the process of working on really preliminary a feature film. It's not an Armenian story, but it is a very empowering story for women. But that is something in the future that I think this would be something to continue to spotlight.
Awesome. Well, we are all going to support and watch the movie. So thank you so much for meeting us today. You're an inspiration. We're going to follow your work. Where do we follow you? What's your Instagram?
My Instagram's Elizabeth Tabish, and I've got a website, elizabethtabish.com.
And you'll tell us everything that happens when we follow you. So everybody follow this girl.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for inviting us here today. This is beautiful.
Thank you.
How long have you been in this location?
Well, we've been here since September. Well, we reopened in September 2021. We've actually been here since, I want to say November or December 2020, right in the middle of COVID.
How was that?
It was, we were completely closed, so it was not good, right, for us. We closed in, as you probably know, if you're from this area, from the Fresno area, we were in downtown Fresno for almost 25 years. And then when COVID hit, we closed, as all card rooms and gaming establishments were supposed to do. And we did, but we basically had to go dark because we couldn't go outside and reopen, right? We couldn't reopen on the street because we didn't have the parking lots for that. And then we had the opportunity to move into this space a little bit later in 2020, after we've been closed a while, and then ultimately, leased it and then executed an option to buy it and moved in and opened up in September of 2021.
So you opened and didn't get to open until...
Well, no, we had to come here because I don't know if you remember, this was a blighted building, right? So this building that we're in is 33,000 square feet. It was built back in 2007 or 8. It was where we're sitting was a restaurant called Cabo Wabo, Sammy Hagar's tequila Tex-Mex restaurant. And but that opened only for a couple of months, and then it shut down. And this particular space that we're in went through a couple of iterations as a nightclub. So in this 33,000 square foot building, only this 14 or 15,000 square feet was actually functional. So, and it had closed since, I want to say the last time it was used was maybe 2018 or 19, and it had been vandalized and broken into and gutted, and there was a homeless encampment on our patio.
This used to not be the best part of town.
Yeah, it wasn't the best part. So
that's why everyone's happy that you...
When we came here,
right.
We had the opportunity to come in, and for us, we've been downtown, right? We're not...
You're used to, yeah.
We're not afraid to go south of Shaw, right? So we said, okay, we can make this work, and we came over, and we had to do a significant amount of cleanup and refurbish some things, and replaced what vandals had stolen or scavenged and whatever, and got it reopened, and here we are.
That's awesome. How did you even end up in Fresno? I know you have roots back to LA like me. So.
Well, I was born back east. I was born in Virginia. I grew up in Maine, and then I went to school back east and came out here for graduate school. I ended up in Los Angeles for a number of years. I was in the finance business, and then I was in the musical instrument business for a long time. I was involved with Steinway Musical Instruments for 17 years.
What musical instruments did you play?
I taught myself to play the piano, so it's, yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
so musical.
Yeah, so that was a fun period of my life. But, anyway, I was in the finance business and did some work for the Commerce Casino, and I remember at the time, and this is before, poker was on television, any of that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is back when it was kind of, what's that? And I remember seeing the business, and I thought, okay, this is pretty interesting. Gaming's bigger than California than it is in Nevada, and people don't realize there's more gaming revenue in California than Nevada. When you add the lottery, horse racing, tribal casinos, card rooms, you add it all up, it's a big number. And I thought, well, if there's ever an opportunity to get in this business, I'm going to do it. And so we had the opportunity in 2006 to buy a card room. The folks that owned this one of the guys couldn't get relicensed, and another guy didn't have kids, so they wanted to sell it, and my business partner and I bought it, and we closed in 2008 and have been operating it ever since.
And is that what moved you to Central Valley? You were still in LA and you were like, we're coming down.
And so I was commuting back and forth, and then
you saw that wasn't going to be.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a long commute, obviously, but then I became very active in the California Gaming Association, and then started putting some roots and been more involved here locally, and I ended up, relocating here.
What about what you've been doing for animals? Tell us
What's that?
Tell us about what you've been doing for animals.
Oh, yeah. So what's interesting is when we were downtown, you don't realize this. Fresno and the Central Valley generally has a big animal overpopulation problem, and a lot of them. Go ahead.
That is so good.
Yeah, I mean, these are sitting here. I feel like we should try them and test them. You
Oh
guys
my
gotta
gosh.
have your camera guy try
Amazing.
one of these too. So when we were downtown, we would see so many stray animals, and I started, we work late at night. We're in the night and weekend business, so when I go home at 2 a.m., I'd see these stray animals out, and you see some, you help feed them and try to get some fixed and see if we can rehome them. And then the more involved I got with it, the more I realized that Fresno had just a huge animal overpopulation problem. That literally every district in the city sees it. And I thought, okay, well, we have some resources. We're going to try and, help solve this problem. What I liked about it is, both sides of the political aisle like their pets, right?
Right, and we can all come together.
They may not like each other, but they like their pets, and
Right.
they like each other's pets.
That's a very good way of putting it.
But it also seemed like it's a problem that you could have an impact in, right? There's so many big problems, climate change or homelessness or whatever, that are just huge social problems. It's difficult to really have a dent in, but I felt like, well, we can have a dent in this animal population problem. So we started putting some resources in it, fixing animals, getting involved. Ultimately, at one point I was at a local shelter, and they told me they told me how many animals they were going to euthanize that day, and I just couldn't believe it, right? So I called friends of ours and I said, okay, let's get some kennels together and get some carriers together and bring the van. We're taking all of them. And we ended up taking 42 cats and just started finding homes for them and getting them back to health and whatever. And now, 8 years later, I think we're one of the largest cat rescues in the Central Valley. We certainly have a huge impact.
And what's it called?
It's called Kirkland Foundation.
And then how do people get a hold of you to rescue their
Everyone seems to be able to get a hold of me. If you call 911 and you tell them you have a cat in a tree,
they call
refer.
you. Wow,
Yeah,
that's a lot
so-
of work. So you have a lot of people helping
No,
you.
there's only 6 of us in the organization, and we
Wow,
have volunteers,
that's
so we have six staffers, dedicated, working day to day with the animals, and then we have all sorts of volunteers that help us out. And what's interesting is there's a big animal community, an animal rescue community. So all of us kind of know each other, and we work together. And certainly there are little cat fights among some of the different groups, but
No pun intended.
No pun intended. But for the most part, I think we all share a common goal, right? So we'll work with the TNR people, and we'll, try to work with, the dog people, and then they'll work with us, and we're known as people that will take animals that are in a storm drain or on a roof or in a tree and help them out. And
that's really cool that you do that.
Yeah,
From all of this to that, you do a lot of things.
It's a lot, but we actually we administer the spay and neuter program for the county of Fresno. So every morning I'm at the vet, sort of bleary-eyed, watching a parade of people bringing their animals, and we check them in and try to get as many spayed and neutered and fixed as we possibly can.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's great. So since you've been here, now you're starting all the events again. I went to a comedy show last year, so everything's almost full steam, like back to before COVID.
It's not quite back to normal because, as I mentioned, when we were downtown, we were in 29,000 square feet, and this building is 33,000 square feet. But what we're in now is only 14 or 15,000 square feet. So we're basically in half the space that we were before. And so, I joke with people, it's a little bit like living out of an RV, right? One minute it's, the kitchen table, and the next minute it's the guest bedroom, and the next minute it's, something else, and an ironing board. And so that's where we are right now, where we try to do as much as we can with the space. And we're actually in the process of building out the remainder of it so we can do the bigger events. But, we try to make as good use as we can of the indoor space, our patio space. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, here's Staffy. Staffy's bringing, this is pho. This is another one of our...
So what's this? Is this some bone broth that we have in here as well?
So explain that.
Bone broth for our pho. It has a really big bit of bone marrow inside of it, some tried meatballs, and sliced steak.
Oh my goodness.
And we mix it up. And as you can tell, we're not very good with, we're really good with food. We're not very good with portion control. So
that's a problem we can help you out with them.
Pretty much everyone that comes in here leaves with a to-go box. So this, people get excited about the bone marrow and if you came in, we've got some other things coming here too.
Oh my goodness.
If you came in here on a Saturday night around 11 o'clock, you're going to see bowls of that everywhere. What's this? So tell me what this is.
That is a Vietnamese cube steak.
That's over
white
here.
rice, and then our rosé sauce.
Okay, I'm going to pass this over to you. I think that's what you had before.
Oh, and what I love about this place is the hours. Because you can always, everything closes so early when you're out doing stuff, and I can always eat here. When you close for the kitchen?
So kitchen's 24 hours, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We close at about 3 o'clock midweek.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because
it's better than Denny's. We have some good food, good high-end food late at night, guys.
It's funny, when I first came to Fresno, I'd been living in LA, and everybody eats a little bit later there, right? And I would go out to restaurants at 8 o'clock, and they'd look at me like,
"Why are you here?"
Like, we're closing the kitchen, man, right? And then we said, okay, well, there's a pretty big gap in food that food service for after 8 or 9 o'clock, and
you came and fulfilled a lot of needs for the community. You feed
us
late,
I don't know if I filled them for the
cats and dogs.
I don't know if I filled them for the community. I feel like I filled them for me because I was like, hey, I'm going to eat after 9 o'clock, and I want a kitchen. But it's actually true. If you came in here, we're here at 6 or 7 o'clock, whatever it is tonight. We don't have a traditional dinner hour as you used to see, but if you come in after 9 or 10 o'clock, this will be filled, right? And so we try to tell people, hey, when you come on and pick up a friend at the airport at 9:30, 10 o'clock, and
bring him here.
Don't go through Denny's. Come here,
right? And then they can have so much fun and some excitement.
There's always something going on.
There's always something going on here. So what separates you from other casinos?
Well, we tell our folks our mission. We want to have safe, fun guest experience, right? We want great jobs for our people, and then we want to give back to the community. So what we're trying to do is just give people a good guest experience. When you order pho from us, I want that to be like, okay, I didn't expect it to be that cool.
Definitely didn't.
Right? Like when you get a drink from us, and our logo's in it, and we use
I'm addicted.
We use Buffalo Trace bourbon in our old fashioned. Try to give people just a little bit something special in what they do. It's like a little luxury. When when you take your car in, you get the oil changed, and they bring it back out to you, and they washed it, and you're like, okay, that's
you're
cool.
Excited, yeah.
You feel good about that, right? So that's kind of the feeling that we're trying to convey to people. So in this space, I feel more so than downtown, we have the opportunity to, create cool experiences for people. Like I don't know if you came by during the holidays when we had Club Wonderland, our whole lighting experience.
Oh, that's right. It was so pretty.
Yeah. So we try to create these things where people come and they say, okay, that's something that I don't really see around in Fresno. That's pretty cool. And then, once you come in the door, we try to execute on it. So, we want to greet you. We want to make sure that we're trying to pay attention to you. Again, your food's good, right? Your drinks are good. And you just feel like, okay, that place is pretty cool. I'd go back, right?
Yeah, especially if you don't gamble, this is still really fun. The vibe here is really cool. You don't have to be a gambler to come here.
Well, it's interesting because back in my prior life in finance, I worked on the financing of the Mirage. This is when I was, a really young guy working in an investment bank. And I remember Steve Wynn was talking about it. And, at the time when the Mirage opened up in late 80s, it was all kind of like it's the prime rib, $6.99 and then gamble and Frank Sinatra's playing a gig, right? And then Steve Wynn came and it's like, no, we're going to have a volcano and white tigers and here's the carpet. And people's heads exploded, right? That was just a different thing. Oh, we're going to have California Pizza Kitchen. We're going to do this, that. And if you look at how Las Vegas has evolved over time, it was sort of 80% gaming, 20% non-gaming. And now fast forward 30 years later, right? It's basically 70% non-gaming and 30% gaming, with a good portion of the profitability in the non-gaming. And you've got 8 Cirque du Soleil shows. In my lifetime, if you had a successful restaurant in Los Angeles, then you opened up in New York, or vice versa. Now, if you have a successful restaurant, you open up in Las Vegas, right? That's kind of the next thing. And we looked at that.
And now we have Nashville too.
Yeah, Nashville. I mean, we're always sort of evolving in that. But I feel like, listen, I want to have a good dining experience for people, a good drinking experience for people, a good entertainment experience where you come in. If you came to our Super Bowl party, you'd be like, okay, that's the best Super Bowl party I've been to for 200 miles, right? Wow. When you come to our place, I want you to feel like I'm getting something that I can't otherwise get in the Fresno area, Central Valley. And when you do that, I think people feel like, okay, that's a pretty good value, right? I mean, it's not, we're going to get $14 or $16 for old fashioned, right? And that's not cheap, right? But we're going to use Buffalo Trace. We're going to make it cool. We're going to use the big rocks. We're going to try, have special kind of cherries, and we're going to try to, figure out and remember if you're a regular and know you, and that way you'll feel like, okay, that wasn't just somebody slinging drinks, right? That was like a place that's pretty cool, and I can hang out there. So that's what the experience we're trying to create. Come on, I'm going to give you a tour of Club One Casino. Okay? So we're in Club One Casino now. This is a building that was built in 2007. There's about 33,000 square feet. In the portion that we're in right now, it's about, call it 14,000 square feet of it. This used to be an old restaurant, not old, Cabo Wabo restaurant back in 2007-8. It was operational for a couple of months and then turned into a nightclub for a little bit of time off and on. It went through a couple of different iterations. We came into the space in, I want to say November of 2020 or thereabouts, and then did some minor renovations to get it into the position where we could actually operate our card room. We reopened here in September of 2021, and that's what you're in now. So we're basically in half the space here. Come on, it's fine. We're in half the space of the entire building. The rest of it we're actually building out. So over here we have a cage. The casinos have a cage. That's where the chips are and the cash, and that's where we transact our business. When you come in here this is remnants of the old Cabo Wabo. This was Sammy Hagar's tequila room. Oops, sorry.
Is there still tequila in there?
No, it's just that's secure storage for us. But that used to be a private dining area over there. This was a coat room that now serves as a break area. So we've kind of made this thing work for ourselves. We have our gaming tables here, obviously bar. A lot of fun with this bar. When we first bought this and came in, we didn't realize that this was backlit, and it didn't work properly. So when we actually worked on it and fixed it, it turned out when we came in here, this wasn't working. And when we took it all apart, we said, "What's that? What are those lights underneath this for?" And the guy that's working is like, "Oh no, you don't understand. This is backlit." right? And so once we got it working and turned it on, it was pretty cool.
I love it.
So Justin, can you turn this off and turn it on for me? Just turn it on. Watch it. This is how we
really
used to
cool.
when we first came here. This is what it was like. And then once we got it working, it was like
so
yeah.
neat.
So it was like okay, that was like a little. That was
I
fun,
love
right?
it.
So we were very fortunate when we moved into the space that they had a big functioning restaurant, or I'm sorry, a kitchen with a lot of pretty good equipment, and then we had the bar area. So, in our business, the gaming business is about entertainment, right? Weekend food and beverage, right? So we had the bones of it, and then, had to work on things like our lighting, our camera coverage, carpeting.
And you have a whole nother room over there, which I saw there's an event tonight. Kyle, what's the event that's going on in there?
I think it's the local Harley Club.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that I walked in there first and I was
Yeah,
like, woo!
yeah, no, there's some guys that rolled up on their motorcycles.
That's
So-
cool. That's so cool because you have that going on in there and this in here. This again, all the things you can
So
have.
gaming area here. Right now, I think we have 29 tables on the floor. We're licensed for 51. We put some in our other annex area that you just referenced. We like to have it a little more better organized than we have it right now, right? So this is my OCD kicking in again, all right, where we like to make it a nice experience for people. But if you look across here, one of the things that we're known at, and this is our poker area and this is our table games area, one of the things that we're known for is our tournament experience. So we're the leading tournament provider in the Central Valley. So if you want to play the games that you see on TV, you come to Club One Casino.
Do you guys give us like a little tutorial so people know how to play if they've
Yeah,
never
we
played
do that.
before?
Actually, we have a really cool thing. We call it Casino 101, which is where we get people that don't know how to play anything. They come in, we'll give them an entree, a drink of their choice. They sit with 6 or 8 of their friends, and we'll teach whatever game they want to learn. So you don't have to deal with
that's
everybody else,
fun.
because the number one problem that people have when they come to the casino is they don't want to look stupid.
Right.
And they won't want to feel intimidated. And
That's
the reality
very true.
is, right, you can play all these games, but you don't want to feel dumb,
Yeah.
right? So what we try to do is bring you together with a group of your friends and say, okay, do you want to play poker? Do you want to play Pai Gow? Do you want to play, what Baccarat? We'll show you how to play that game. So go ahead. Whether you're here with us or you're in another venue or in Las Vegas, you feel comfortable sitting down at the table.
Do you ever play?
Yeah, I used to play a lot.
Do you ever play here or that's
No, I don't. I try to limit that. I kind of get sucked into it occasionally, but for the most part, I'm pretty busy working on some other stuff. Right. I'm trying to figure out events to bring people in, keep us compliant, make sure that we're working on the things that we don't want people to think about, safety, compliance, those type of things. Also, too, just our consistency of the experience. It's interesting. People, my friends will be like, "Oh, you own a casino," and they think Robert De Niro, Sharon Stone casino. It's like, no. My life is, making sure that there are the same amount of blueberries in every muffin. It's that consistency that goes through. It's not nearly as sexy as it seems. So.
And I wore these shoes just for you.
Those are spectacular, by the way. Those are.
Everyone needs a pair of poker shoes.
I think for sure.
That gives away
that
my
should be in
poker
every
space. I'll say,
closet
look at my
everywhere.
poker shoes.
So this is our, the gaming area, and one of the things you'll see up on our walls that, people talk. They think that we have a TV fetish. Here's a fun fact. How many TVs do you think we have on property?
50?
Oh, come on.
There was like every little square counts.
Yeah, okay, every
Oh
little
my
square
goodness, how
counts.
many?
That's not one,
Exactly.
That's 15.
Okay. How many?
We have over 100.
Wow.
So when you look around, you add them all up, there's over 100 screens. We like that. We like that wow experience when people come in and feel like, oh, that's cool if there's something up on the screen. So.
And it's funny, it's packed. There's a lot of people here right now because I know you said it's slow because it's not like
Most of Tuesday night, right?
So over there, it seemed a little bit slow in the dining room, but everybody was over here.
So a lot of people are
And
here.
then you have at least 50 people in the other room, in the Harley Davidson room.
What we have going on here tonight is that we have a Tuesday night tournament. And there are 84 players in this tournament. There's multiple tables running right now. So
wow.
So we're known for that. And people come in here and have fun. They play the games they see on TV and enjoy it. And The cool thing is poker's a game of skill. So if you actually try and think about it, you can get better at it, right? It's not just a game of random chance. So, you know, a lot of our players out here, like, they want to look and get better, and we give them the opportunity to do that.
Well, thank you so much. This is great. I'll be here. I'll see you on St. Patty's Day.
I guess we'll see you on St. Patty's Day. Before you leave, I got to walk you through our kitchen so you can see how big that is.
Oh, let's go.
Okay. When we came here, one of the big selling points for us to come to the space is we have this fully functioning kitchen. If you look around, if you're in the food and beverages, it's a very large kitchen. We can service,
this is insane.
500 on, and there's a full second space back there that was functional that we're using as administrative space, but full line. You can look back there in refrigeration, keg storage, dishwashing line, and compared to what we were in downtown, I think this dishwashing area, and that is probably bigger than what we had for a kitchen in the old place. And so we felt like we're blessed. I mean, this is
the food's amazing.
And it had only been used 2 months, so all we had to do is really make sure stuff worked and get it up and going. If you came back here, you know, we had to do some stuff. Oops, sorry. Okay. There's a whole separate room back here. This is another full line. Now we're using it for storage and what have you. But when I talk about our ability to do events, you know, we think that we can service 500 to 1,000 people here.
Easy.
So it's fun. And you know, if you couple this kitchen with, we have at least 3 functioning bars, which is important in our business. We have one that was just over by an area that wasn't open. There's the one that with the light up bar top, right. Then the patio bar. When things are
then
really,
you also have one in the private room too.
and one in the private room. So when you look at something like our New Year's Eve event, everything was going. We had people everywhere, and every bar is open.
That's so cool.
It's a lot of fun. So we try to create that experience.
And you have a DJ on the weekends.
We do have a DJ, or we'll have a live band, or we'll try to do something.
That is so awesome.
We just want every place that, like, if you, for some reason, this isn't working for me, you go, oh, this is, right?
So we need to follow your Instagram, right? The club one.
You should follow us on social media. Okay. You should follow us on Facebook,
then we can know
Instagram.
I'm going to go do that right now, because I feel like I've been missing out this whole time.
Yeah, you'll see what we're up to. We're pretty good about trying to talk about what we're up to. But it's one of the nice things is I still think a lot of people don't even realize we're open. It's surprising to me how many people that I run into. They're like, oh my God, I thought you were closed because they
don't know about the move.
They don't know about the move, or they don't know where we are, and then they get here and they're like,
wow.
Oh, okay, this is cool. A little bit of a find, so that's us.
Well, thank you so much for coming on our show today.
Well, thank you for coming in, and thank you for letting us talk about our, what we're up to. We're always happy to do it.
Felt right in the moment, felt right in the summertime. It felt right drinking cherry wine with you. Just wanted to own it, just wanted to take the time, learn all the things that I could about you. Now it's such a mess here, oh, we are just stressed here. Used to be so easy with you. Now I must confess here, oh, I must confess, dear, don't think I'm in love with you. Winter is coming and I don't know what to do, and there's no more use in running, no more running to you, and I don't want your loving